Good Sunday afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and all you traders out there and everyone interested in the markets. This is Barry again, and I wanted to do a short video before the markets opened up this week to just kind of go through what I'm looking for this week, what I think might happen, what all the analysts are saying, and look at the outcome of what might happen in either scenario, whether the market tanks or whether it hangs in there and heads back the other way. Going to talk about a little bit about how the direction doesn't matter for my trading decisions this week. And that's what's great about the way I trade and let the market tell me what's happening. Talk about the exact trade that may happen tonight or tomorrow. And kind of conclude on that we should know by tomorrow night where the market's going, at least short term. And so that's kind of what I want to talk about to start with. Let's just talk about what I'm looking for this week. And obviously, for those of you who watched any of my few videos I've made so far, big picture is where I start with. Always start with that. And here's the monthly chart of the S&P. And right here at the top here, these last 6 months or so, it's come up and hit a top. And I look at structure in view of Elliott wave. But again, I'm not tried and true Elliott wave technician. I don't get too in the weeds with Elliott wave. I think the structure works great, and as much as I use it, it works great for me. So, and you'll see that as we go along here. That's why I call it organic Elliott wave, because I think the market's organic, and every wave is different, like a snowflake, and you have to learn to be flexible and not be too biased when you're looking at the market. So anyway, on the monthly chart, we came up, obviously the last high back here a few months ago in September, and it's perfectly fits the wave pattern that it's in a correction. But the fact that it's in a correction on the monthly chart does not mean that we're going to have a bear market for the next 6 months or a year. It very well could be just going through a three-wave ABC correction, ABC. Another month or two, it could be at the bottom of the correction and then head back up, just like it did here. Because you notice on the monthly chart, from May it started down of 2015, and that correction finally ended in February of 2016. So we're talking about a 7 or 8 month correction. Went a total on this correction of 340 points. Right now, from the top, we are down about 350 points. So it may be a larger correction, it may not. But that's the monthly chart. And of course, the monthly chart, even though very few people look at it, it's important to look at to get a big picture. Let's look at the weekly. And again, it still could be doing an AB and then a distorted, or what they might call an extended C if it goes very low down here. Possibly. We'll talk about the alternatives here in just a second. So there's the weekly chart. Let me squeeze it back up here a little bit for the weekly. So let's look at some detail, because what I like to do every time I'm looking at the big picture down to small picture, I tend to go 1/4 to 1/6 time frame, and each one shows me more of the subdivisions within the bigger waves. So when we go from the weekly to the daily, what are we looking at? As of 2 or 3 weeks ago, when I started doing these short videos, unprofessional, but just observation videos, I was thinking that this is an ABC. This was the bottom of might be the bottom of the correction, and it might be heading back up. That scenario would still fit with a distorted, elongated complex counter trend, because it hasn't taken that A wave out yet. So if that's the case, scenario one is, for right now, the market's done heading down, and it's going to start turning and heading back up. Could be an A, could be a B. This could be the bottom of this, let's see, A, B. Nah, this can't be the bottom of the C, because C goes beyond A, so it could go a little farther and then turn. Or it could just be doing a complex counter trend, and this ABC is a little confusing anyway. We don't have to follow Elliott wave rules to watch and see what the market's doing, so it could just be an extended complex counter trend that goes what technicians would call the trading range. Could stay in the trading range for a while. So the bottom line is, when we're looking at this daily chart, and then we'll look, of course, at the 4 hour and the 1 hour, the market at this point is poised to go up or down. I know that sounds funny, but that's the bottom line, and you cannot get married to one position until the market tells you what it's doing. And again, all the analysts, if you go look at all the market outlook analysts at the end of Friday, there are a few that are very non-biased that do present the possibility that this is it for the down and it's heading back up now and it's done doing its correcting. I think you're going to find most of them looking at the technical indicators, whether it's MACD or trend lines or the 50 crossing the 200 on different time frames. They're always talking about the death cross. All these technical analysis signs that they say are pointing to the fact that this market's going to break down. And it very well could. If it does, we've got a way to trade it. If it doesn't, we'll trade it back up the other way. So that's the daily chart. Let me drop it back down to the 6 hour. Now, if you guys remember what happened last 2 weeks, in fact, let's go to the 4 because you can see the weekly break. 2 weeks ago, remember it opened down here at the bottom, closed at the very top on Friday, and then last week opened on Sunday, gapped up, headed high, and then Monday closed the gap and just took a dive. And so this is the 4 hour. So what are we doing here? Well, this is an extended wave 3. Elliott wave came down to a wave 3, 4, 5. We have an ABC correction, and now it's done a wave 1 down again. For all intents and purposes, when I look at this, I'm looking at 2 more waves down from here. And again, even though it goes lower than this, it doesn't mean it's going to take out the February low, the 1st of February low. But it very well could come down and do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of a C wave. So it could head down from here. So this was 2 weeks ago. Last week came to here, and in fact, on Friday, as I said in my videos last week, I took a lot of impatient trades in here, went back and forth, and then was down. And then on Friday, actually waited for a very good signal and got the perfect Elliott wave entry. Let's go to the 1 hour, see how it came to the bottom of the trend here and did an A, B, C. So Friday morning, about 2 minutes before 7 my time, I was watching this ABC. Let's go to the 15-minute chart. Or I could just bring my, yeah, there we go, there's 15 up. And I was watching this ABC, and I thought this looks very much like an A, 3-wave B, and then a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave C. I was watching this right when it formed on the top, waited for a little bit of a push down, actually shorted at 2,703 points, and went the whole day and took 65 points out of the market. But that was reading the ABC. But now that I see on the 1 hour chart that we've done a correction and now probably a wave 1, and it's doing a wave 2 correction, and it's heading, and I think it's probably heading down for another wave 3, and that's what I'm going to look for. So what I'm looking for here tonight and tomorrow basically is, I think if this does a recognizable 3-wave correction, which is what I'm looking for, then what I'm looking for here is this is an A, probably come down to B, and then C is going to come a little bit above that high from Friday. And when it does, I'm hoping it's not overnight because I'm not staying up all night to watch this market. Let me look at the 10-minute chart here. So I think that's an A, a B, and if it comes up here, the best case scenario, a perfect trade for me will be this wanders up towards on the C wave slowly all night like it tends to do sometimes. It's just wander and counter trend, and then sometime near the opening of the day session tomorrow, if I get an impulsive wave heading down, I'm jumping on board, because if I see an impulsive wave and see that this is actually the end of that correction, then we're going for another wave. And almost always, people argue about wave 3 rules and Elliott wave, and those of you who know Elliott wave know what I'm talking about. The traditional rule is wave 3 can't be the shortest of wave 1, 3, and 5. The impulsive waves, some people say wave 3 has to be the longest. I don't care about that. I just know that the third wave usually is. Take a look at this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This wave 3 was a lot longer than the wave 1 and longer than the wave 5. So there's a wave 3. That's just an example there. So if that's the case, wave 1 on Friday was about 85 points. So from the top of this correction, wherever it stops, I'll have 85 points to work with, or more than 85 points to work with if it plays out like it typically does in the market. But anyway, whether it goes up or down, here's the scenario. If I get a good turn up here in this area in the morning, overnight or in the morning, and I see that it is actually the end of the correction, I will head short and we'll stay short for a day or two because we'll get a good trade out of that. But if it tends to wander up here and then tomorrow we get an impulsive move that shows that it's not ending, but in fact it's taking off to the upside, then I'll wait for that first big impulsive move to end, wait for a correction, and then we'll go long. So that'll be kind of both scenarios. Third scenario is this market opens up here in a couple hours this afternoon, opens low or opens a little above here, and then just tanks. And that's also a third scenario that just may happen this afternoon. And I'll have to watch and see what that does before I know whether I want to get on board that tank or not. Because there's going to be a lot of volume the first 15 minutes of the market. People are going to be taking positions. And if enough of the market is obviously bearish and this selling wasn't done, then it could just take off from here this afternoon and keep going all night long. So that's the third scenario that may happen. But whatever happens, we'll watch it and be ready for it. And I'll be back with you guys tomorrow, and we'll see what's going on at the time.